how do you begin managing a young artist that has a lot of talent? The secret to it, it's not a secret, because if you look at history, at any given time, for any given artist, there has been not more than 5 to 10 people who have really had a profound impact in somebody's career. Now, this has not changed. So the question is, how do you find those 5 people that are most likely to be the 5 for this artist? This cannot be easily done till you find out what the artist is so unique about. What does he have? What's his dream that someone will be willing to invest so much? Now the rest follows. It sort of comes unfolds itself. People like to follow different trends and visionaries in our business. So if you have 5 people who are quite important in the market, willing to put money, for example, La La La, the rest are encouraged to do so.
I remember when I moved into La 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 for the year or so that I was there, that at that time, this man was unbelievably active artistically, and to the extent that his work never stopped being made, even when it was on the road for 6 months, 8 months, a year. And there was a phenomenal amount of work had gone into the company already, mostly by George, by Uriel, by others they created this groundswell of popularity for the company throughout Europe, but basically nowhere else. And certainly not in the United States, which was a very interesting thing. The United States, they didn't really break for 15 or so years.
The big move came in one day when I got a call that this lady called Val Bourne and this London dancer brother came into town with this little assistant that she had named Anne Valois. And they came to see a rehearsal. Anne Valois was going to become an apprentice and study the making of a festival. So one of the projects that Val gave to Anne was to organize a tour of La 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 to Manchester, Liverpool, London, which other city? It was 3-4 cities in the UK. And they were able to get 1 performance or 2 in a small place in Paris, the American Center, that's where Benedict Bell came in, or Anita Mathieu, and sold the company. And
who were the first co-producers in Europe?
At that time, there was no money to give to co-produce stuff. To have enough money to produce it was sufficient. But the co-production money came in later, when they realized that the bulk of the money of institutions was taken by the old artists, and there was no new money coming in for the young ones. So the presenters got together and they put $10,000 each. They got different financing to put it on an artist they believed on, not that the institutions believed on. And that came later on in the mid-'80s.
Yeah.
That's what my recollection is. Co-production started in the mid-'80s.
Yes.
And I was with La La La, say, mid to late 80s.
Yes.
And the co-production money had just started before I arrived.
It came in for New Demons.
Then I remember chasing around to build on that for the next production,
yes,
while New Demons was still touring. Yes. By then, co-production had become a little more sophisticated. Yes. So there was the Centre Chorégraphique, who, rather than putting money in, would give the space,
yes,
the choreographic space, and La 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 actually used Angers in France for the production after New Demons. Yes. So it wasn't money, it was facilities, yes, it was support,
yes,
and then money was still, of course, coming from other places.
Exactly, yeah. I was asked to be in this evaluation of the National Arts Center, and they, in the mandate of the National Arts Center, it said that they have the mandate to create and produce music, theater, opera, and dance, and nobody was putting money in co-producing dance. Monsieur Ivan Saintonge was there at that time. So I just said to him, did you notice that in your bylaws, or your mandate? He says, no. So I told him, well, we're just getting $40,000 from Rouen. And it's amazing that the National Arts Center has a mandate that hasn't been exercised. And Ivan went into it and looked at it, and he gave us money. Believe it was 30,000 Canadian. That was a lot of money those days to create new demons.
Well, the interesting thing about co-producers is their loyalty. Because when I came in the 90s, if it was not for the loyalty of co-producers from the Théâtre de la Ville in Paris, Impulse Dance in Vienna, Octobre en Normandie was still there, the whole thing would have gone haywire. It's these people, there was people in Amsterdam also, who had invested as co-producers, and then they were inviting the company to perform. And this kept the thing going. Otherwise, the company was in very bad shape.
It was underfinanced.
Yes.
Yeah, the financing from those people in Europe was essential to its growth. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You cannot wait 5 years. The time is now. There's trends and mega trends and the type of work that's being created that has a shelf value. That it has to be done now. So Europe and co-productions make that happen and can keep up the speed of the events that are happening today.
My experience is that the money for co-productions is fizzling out because the budgets are being cut, and therefore the priority is the engagements of performances, and therefore what's going to happen to La 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 and other companies that rely a lot on co-production money, which I think particularly with the crisis at the moment. Like I work with Louise Le Cavalier, and she had co-production money from Germany, from Paris, and she's just doing a new work, and there's no co-production money available.
What now they want in return, co-producers, they want to have the premiere. They want to have some royalties. You have to sign a contract with them, and those people, I say, no thanks, thank you, but no thanks. I keep the money. There's too many strings getting attached to this co-production.
No, I accept to give back royalties to some co-producers, because eventually it depends on the success of your piece. If the piece doesn't have great success, you're not giving back that much money. But if it is a success, the co-producer gets all his money back, and the next time he gives you more money. And that's the way I work. Let's say with Impulse Dance in Vienna.
That's a loan. I call that a loan.
It's not a loan. It's an investment into the company, but there is some money going back to the.
The nice thing about that is that it shares the money around. If a show is successful with one set of co-production money and it pays back the co-production money, it's back in the pot to be given to another artist.
Yes.
Which is a very... And if the show is not successful, okay, so they didn't get their money back.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like that recycling of the same money.
In Europe, it's very distinct, two different things. One is I can help you create, and you can give it back and put it in a pot for the next artist. They do not call that co-production money. Co-production money is, here you get it, have a good time, or get me a good show, and then let's just do it in Vienna or something. They do not ask for their money back, because then it becomes you can make a profit. So we're in a non-profit business.
But if the co-producer makes a profit on a piece, he's giving you back more money for the following piece.
Yes.
And this keeps the loyalty going, and this long-term relationship with these co-producers.
Yes.
He's asking for recognition that he put money into the piece, but done as a co-producer.
All co-producers want something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can go down the list of what co-producers want and don't want, and they all have different ideas in the menu of things they want to what they should be. And I mean, I think that's fine. I think if they're going to invest in an artist, they should be recognized for the investment that they've made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what the recognition that is varies from place to place and person to person.
Yes.
I think the importance of co-production arrangements is A, that they get money, and B, that they get an engagement to the artist. So you're guaranteed to have at least 3-4 performances in that city. So it's a double plus. So going back to what you said, I think that's the essential part of a co-production.
It started with the first co-production money coming from Festival des Seines Maritimes in Rouen, which was then matched by Yvan Saint-Onge at the National Arts Centre. That was New Demons. And then that led to one gentleman from Rouen went to Angers, which led to the choreographic resource co-production money for the next piece. And the company spent something like 2 or 3 months there, I think.
Yes.
And he then introduced me to Gérard Violette at Théâtre de la Vie, which brought Théâtre de la Vie into co-production for the next piece also, and that was cash, and it was a lot of cash, which then led to a lot of other people wanting to get on the bandwagon. So the next piece, which I think you took, I don't know, what was after New Demons?
Was it Destroy?
Destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that next piece had a lot of co-production money. After starting with 2 with New Demons, was something like 6 partners in Destroy.
I think what one has to say, particularly to people who are starting, you can't just go and ask for co-production money from somebody. It really has to come the other way. In other words, the people have to propose that to you, because it needs a relationship between the artist and the co-producers, so that that relationship is what produces the need or the interest of a presenter to get involved with the company and to do something that they didn't usually did. And as you said earlier, it was quite late into 1980 until presenters started to offer co-production money. For 2 reasons. One, because it wasn't very usual even in Europe at that time. But the second thing is that by that time, La 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 had been around for a while, so that people knew it, and therefore those relationships had been established slowly. And as you said, going from one to the other, one presenter introducing another one. Oh, I love this company. You should do something, and then. It happened like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
But it needs that relationship in order to work, and nobody can just go. I can't go to somebody just like that, point blank, and ask for co-production money,
right.
Because it comes really at the end and not at the beginning.
yes.
Most of the new co-producers are people who have already booked the company in the past,
Several
who
times.
know the company well, who have met Mary, who have met me many times, and then they're open to discuss co-production.
Statistically speaking, usually it takes you 2 good pieces before you get money for the 3rd one.
Yeah.
And now what happens, there's a danger that's inherited in that. You do 2 great pieces, what are the chances is that your 3rd one is going to be as good? And you usually get the money when you're running out of creativity. And one of the downside of that is you're given a deadline, or when are you going to premiere the work? So you're getting co-production money has a downside to it. If you're going to manage an artist's career, you get the money where you suddenly became hot, but you have been creating for some time. You get the money at the wrong time with a demand that you have to premiere it or open it or close the next festival. Well, with Edward Locke, I must be proud to say that I've canceled more premieres than anybody else because we were not ready. And the idea was to have the right work according to the artist, whether he was right or wrong, to basically have the same standard of creativity. And sometimes creativity does not come when you throw money at it.
It's not something that comes whenever you want it.
No.
It takes time.
So you get the most of the money when you're running out of creativity. And if I have to manage an artist's career, I say, thank you for the money. I know what it is. I'll come and get it when we're ready.
It's afterwards that some people, people
Yes.
realize it's a good work and that it gets into the market. And that's really also the connection between creativity and business, because
Yes.
the co-producers in that area, if they're jumping in because something is successful, they want to just buy into the success of something.
Yes.
And since it's too late for the one that is now, they're hoping that the one that's coming is going to work out.
Yes.
And make them what they wanted. But the quality of the work is the final criteria.
Managing an artist is one thing, and managing an artist to make them famous before they die is another.
Co-production money is really a gift that presenters give you. Basically, that's what it is. We've talked about that they don't want that they want something for it, and obviously, the first thing that they want is to be associated with something that is successful. The second thing is, particularly now, the economic situation is difficult, so they have to think about their budget and have money to present companies so that the co-production money, as we said, is fizzling out slowly and becoming less and less and more difficult to get. And but the co-production money is something that artists really need, particularly when they grow, because to produce a work today, it costs more and more money because the technology also is demanding more and more financial support. So I don't know where companies are going to go after this and how things are going to develop in order to continue to have that growth of means in order to create and give the artist the full availability of what they need in order to give their utmost.
When presenters are running out of cash, what they do still have is their theaters and their staff. So they do seem to be getting money that's there for the whole year. To get extra money for another artist has become more difficult, like you said. So what they do give you is 2 weeks in the theater with their technical people. That's a lot of money when you look at it. But the other benefit that we should add that comes along with this is that you end up being in this community, in this city, for say a month or two, and then you get to more connected with the people. You may do some workshops, you may do some run-throughs and invite some community members. So therefore you become one of theirs. So you don't become just a Montreal dance company. You become a company that's very well established in Salzburg or in Lausanne or in Munich or in Frankfurt. So they feel that you're one of them.
It's what we call a development of cultural exchange. And because when a company goes out, of course they bring a message, but they also get the message from the cultural situation of the place where they go. And by doing this, as you say, and I think you're absolutely right, if that becomes a new way of co-producing works, then it's a very positive way, because it also allows the artists to get something back, because they can learn as much as the audience can learn from them, and that is very positive. It's not only a question of money and means, but it's also an opportunity for a Chinese group to work with the Canadian group, which has happened several times lately. And that, I don't know, I've never seen the result of that, whether that creates works that are more interesting in that way.
It's a fairly new phenomenon for Canada anyway, I don't know elsewhere. And a lot of it seems to be going on in theatre, particularly. And we're now seeing shows which are where two languages are being spoken simultaneously between characters on the stage. And I think it's too early to know yet how these are really working.
And the other thing is the exchange between theatre and dance. That a dancer and a comedian or a theatre person work together, like Akam Khan and Bélichaud, for example, is a good example of what can happen. It's a new phenomenon. It's quite interesting.
When you have fusion between cultures or nationalities, so you can see the lines, and then now we're going to the next step where you can't see the lines anymore. Right. You can't see the fusion. So we're talking about diaspora. Then in the discussion that we were having, it was an ITM. We started coming up with a word called metaspora, like after the diaspora. So where all this, those differences, you won't be able to see it in the work itself.
How do you manage someone who's at the top of their game? Like, what's that like? What's the relationship like?
Well, it's a pretty good relationship now, because I used to be executive director, which is more difficult. But then at that time I was saying to her that in fact she was the executive director because she was taking all the decisions. I was suggesting some things, but she was taking the decisions. So when I left, it took her just a few months, and then she decided she was the artistic and executive director. Now she is. So she took over all the responsibility, and she's taking all the decisions.
Wow.
Which is great, because in fact I think that's what she was.
I think more artists, Mark, are moving towards that direction more and more, because they're not just spending time in the studio. They know now the business pretty well, and they know what they want to happen out of the business. Now, there's certain areas that they go blind, but that's why we're there. You supply them with suggestions.
But she doesn't go blind.
No.
She really knows
Yeah.
what she's
Yeah.
doing, and she knows what she wants. And right now, I work as her agent to develop all the international projects and everything. So, but she knows exactly what she wants to do and what her plans are for the coming years.
It's the whole thing, really. It's you have a responsibility to the people you're working with, the investors in your organization,
Yes.
the presenters who are expecting something to happen, and at a certain point, that critical mass is so big that it's very difficult for the artist to say, "I'm sorry, I need more time."
Yes.
I think some people find it very difficult to entrust themselves in others. And the relationship between an artist and a manager very, very often is a matter of entrusting.
For me, certainly there can't be anything unless there is this basic trust of you knowing how to choreograph and I knowing how to manage the money or whatever, just to simplify it. I agree with that.
I think trust is a very, very key word when you're talking about how you help an artist navigate
Absolutely.
through those moments. And if you don't have that trust, I think it becomes torture.